Hi, my name's John Cordy and I've often been accused of filling a jazz niche. I will say I've never done it without consent.
Hi there, I'm John Cordy. I was wondering if I could talk to you about my YouTube channel.
I'm not interested.
I have dogs to feed, please. I have dogs to feed. 2 videos daily.
Right, so this video, in live stream recently, I sort of talked about wanting to get a little bit more on top of the alternate picking in jazz. A lot of my focus maybe has been more on the legato style, and that's something that I find a bit easier to express myself, I guess. But I think there's players like Gilad Hexelman. Sorry, not Gilad. Gilad is very legato focused. There's players like Jonathan Kreisberg, Mike Marino, these kind of players who I feel like have the alternate picking thing in a jazz context down, and I wanted to kind of distill something down that would give me something to work on. So as an ex-shred guitarist, I guess, or whatever, growing up I used to do quite a lot of alternate picking stuff, sort of in the vein of John Petrucci, like that sort of stuff, which doesn't necessarily translate that well into actual jazz lines or whatever, because generally we're not too interested in just 3-note per string stuff. So what I'm finding is some of the jazz stuff as well, there's kind of a few issues here. Some of the jazz stuff is not fast enough that I want to use kind of proper rock technique where I might slant the pick and kind of pick from an anchored point. But it's also the thing that I like the tone of is when I'm using like a more washy technique. And then things get a little bit weird when you up the tempo a bit. So I thought I'll distill this into a few little exercises. So here's the very start. So we're using chromaticism in a way that actually kind of exists in jazz, and I think that's part of where the issue is arising here, because things don't necessarily fall in 3-note per string patterns because we're using chromatic notes. So this is the very start, so you're starting on the 8th fret, on the D string, and you're going to descend, I think, what is that, 8 notes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what I want you to try and do, or what I'm going to try and do, is try and make that even and sort of play it in a flowing way. And try and bring out some kind of fluidity into that line. Then what I'm going to do is this. So what we could do is, let me think about what I'm doing. We're going to put one note up on this G string, so that's going to introduce some kind of string hopping, or whatever you want to call it. So that's 2 little. So you could even string them together. Then logically what I'm going to do next is put 2 notes on the G string. So okay, and then I guess you're going to guess correctly now, the very last thing that I might do is put 3 notes on this string, right? So and what I'm doing there is getting my kind of hand used to jumping across the strings, the right hand, and syncing up the left and right hand. But I'm also trying to be conscious of keeping things sort of flowing a little bit evenly, and I will do this with a click, obviously. So what I might do is just string them all together. Nope. and that kind of thing. And that's going to be part of my daily practice, I think, because I think it's just a really succinct way to practice what it is that I'm interested in doing, and that's kind of picking lines that are not necessarily super predictable, and things are going to be happening, and I'm going to be crossing strings in different places, and I think my right hand is going to need some sort of agility, and it needs to be well synced up with the left hand as well if I'm going to get better at this. Maybe I'll try practicing it with an up, like an accent on the upstrokes. But yeah, I'm just going to spend a bit of time doing that. And the other thing that I find is a little bit tricky in jazz is kind of the arpeggio nature of some of the lines. So this is a line that I was working on or showed you earlier in the week, but kind of building on a minor 9 arpeggio and then a minor 7 flat 5. That kind of line is kind of, I think, typically jazzy. So that's again the sort of thing that I want to be able to play smoothly and then bring it up to tempo and keep the picking consistent and feeling like it's flowing nicely, not like that. So again, I'm going to practice that along with drums and clicks. And another thing that I find quite hard picking wise is these kind of picked arpeggios that are descending. So maybe those are the 3 things that I'll practice. So that really simple kind of idea, then picking a line that is simple that I can get my head around, or that kind of thing. And then very simple kind of major 7 descending arpeggios or dominant 7. And try and get better at that. So that's what I'm thinking. I'll put up that sheet for Patreon members, and maybe I'll put up a couple of drum tracks that you can practice that along with. I think maybe incorporating this as sort of like a 10-minute, 15-minute part of my practice every day should help to bring this kind of alternate picking into my playing a little bit more in the jazz context. That's kind of what I'm going for and what I'm interested in. The legato thing feels fairly natural. But there's some times where I'd like to be able to just do more picking. And feel more comfortable with it, and so that's what I'm going to build into my practice. So just those 3 exercises. And then lines. And then just trying to get comfortable with these arpeggio ideas. Thank you for stopping by. If that was at all interesting, you could like and subscribe. Every Monday I try and talk about some aspect of like a lick or something. Every Friday I try and talk about an aspect of chordal playing, and Sundays I do like a jazz thing with a chord melody. So hopefully there's interesting stuff on the channel. There's some cool stuff coming tomorrow as well, hopefully. Thank you for stopping by, and if you wanted to like and subscribe you could. Leave me a comment if you've got other jazz things that you're practicing. I think I mentioned as well there's a Chad LB, sax player, who's got a really cool lesson on enclosures, 15 enclosures you need to know for jazz. I think it might be called something like that. And these ideas I think will translate really well to guitar as well. Things like that. And I'm going to bring some more of that back out and try and practice that on a daily basis as well. Thank you for stopping by. Cheers!